What's going on, everyone? Welcome to QVO Games. My name is Juan. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it so much. This video is going to be about the games coming to retail the week of April 21st. We have a very expansion-focused video coming up with, I believe, looks like two games, one from Kickstarter, one from crowdfunding coming out to retail, and then we also have one that is more of like a party game, and the rest are expansions, which I think looks like, yeah, definitely one of them was on crowdfunding, I think a year ago. Now it's coming out to retail. So I'm excited. Let's get this video going. A couple things first. I don't do any Kickstarter coverage. I mainly focus on crowdfunding coverage. I mainly focus on retail and games coming to retail. However, we have so many great content creators who already do great crowdfunding coverage, amazing crowdfunding coverage. I'm actually an active viewer of Shelf Clutter over with Adam. He does a great weekly video and he covers all the games coming to crowdfunding every week. That is a great place to go check it out. And I tend to actually frequent his videos quite often, and I've frequently enough, I end up actually, the reason why I end up buying or backing so many crowdfunding games is because of Shelf Clutter and Adam's great videos. It's just a really big thing or enticing thing where I go watch a video and end up backing like a game or two. However, that's part of the engine, part of the fun. I am a big sucker for like deluxe fight components, and crowdfunding usually gives that stuff out, so they get me there. However, I only cover games coming to retail in these videos, and I don't really plan to be covering crowdfunding games, so go check out Adam's channel and check it out and look into more crowdfunding games if that's what you're into. However, let's continue on with the retail games. Keep in mind, I'm covering games coming to retail in the US. Next thing to keep in mind, if a game's retail release date changes, I'll make sure to update about that change in its new respective video. Let's show off some games. First things first, coming out to you this week is going to be Orleans, the Plague expansion by Capstone Games. Orleans is like a really interesting game, right? So this game is one of the highest rated strategy games of all time on BGG, on Board Game Geek, and it is basically a game where you're going to recruit followers and you're going to make them use their abilities, like farmers, boatmen, all that stuff. They can give you money, and your whole thing, you are a deck, bag, and pool building, as well as have some contracts going on. I'm not going to go too deep into it because I want to get to the expansion. However, it's a strategy game, and it's really well renowned, and it's a great game. I really do enjoy it as well myself. However, what's coming out this week, or is already out to you actually, you can buy it on their website, and apparently it's hitting the mass retail on April 24th, so keep that in mind. The Plague expansion, a plague has struck Orleans and you pick your followers. This basically just adds in another element to the game where you're kind of managing the plague and trying to get through that, and it adds some more things you have to manage as you play the game strategically, right? That's kind of the big gist of it. Orleans has so many expansions so far. It has a lot of expansions. I've actually never even dipped my toes into an expansion for Orleans. I've only played the base game itself. However, Orleans, the Plague expansion, don't want to go too deep into it. It's basically going to give you some more things to manage throughout your game. If you play Orleans, you like Orleans, but you're getting tired of it, picking up an expansion, like maybe the Plague expansion, might be a good thing for you. I do enjoy expansions for games, don't get me wrong. However, I think there's so many expansions for Orleans that I'm a little intimidated, to be honest. Orleans, the Plague expansion, is out to you already through the website, coming out to you on April 24th. Coming up next, we have Dog Park New Tricks, coming out by Birdwood Games on April 22nd. Dog Park New Tricks. So Dog Park is the base game. Keep that in mind. You do need the base game to enjoy this particular expansion. Dog Park New Tricks is an expansion to Dog Park. Keep that in mind. Do not buy this game expecting the full game. This is just an expansion. This expansion adds in a 5th player into the game itself, so you can play with a 5th player, and also adds some new tricks and some new dogs to keep in mind when playing. Here are some great pictures, by the way. The artwork is amazing. If it will decide to load up, it looks like we're having issues. Here we go. We'll start off with this one. I actually really want to show you this. Oh, there we go. Perfect. So in the game itself, you're going to be drafting dogs, and your whole goal, you're using your victory points is going to be the whole thing to draft these dogs and take them on walks. And each dog has specific conditions to be met, and every pathway you take when you walk them nets you X amount of points for doing that. And if you have any dogs left over in your kennels, then you get negative points, or you get a negative consequence for that reason. So I want to go through and show you some of the cards. This game, and I might be comparing it really poorly to almost like Wingspan, but with different mechanics a little bit, only because the card art alone I think is the biggest thing. However, I do think like each dog has its own little thing that does like tricks and such. I'm trying to show you pictures, but for some reason they're not loading. Here, let's try. There we go. That should be good. So those are some of the meeples, of course. I'm gonna show you the board. It reminds me of Wingspan. And not entirely, of course. They're not identical games in any way, shape, or form. However, it's just the dog abilities. When you draft them, you're kind of like betting for them. I mean, you're trying to draft them in to get like put the most bets on these. When you're betting, you're kind of betting for them, and you're trying to draft them over to you can walk them. The game itself, I have not played entirely, but I do have a copy in house, so I'm excited to get to it. This specific expansion is going to just give you some new dogs, new tricks, of course, and new things to explore with your game. On top of this, though, coming out on April 22nd as well, is going to be Dog Park Dogs of the World expansion. It's a mini expansion by Birdwood Games. This is in correlation to the other Dog Park game, and this also was on crowdfunding, and now it's coming to retail. This just adds some new cards, some new abilities. That's basically it. It's a small mini expansion for it. I love the card art. I'm a big sucker for companies that add this. For example, at the bottom of the description, every purchase supports guide dogs. That's awesome. I love the fact that we can turn like our hobby or our love for board gaming when we make a purchase into something more bigger, right, to share. I like that a lot. So definitely consider it. I like the fact, like I said, we tie in a good cause into buying these games. This was just awesome. And by the way, it looks like they did a lot of great work with this game. There's also a lot of great coverage and reviews to all this stuff. I'm gonna scroll down a little bit here, just some more pictures, featuring over 29 unique dogs and 2 brand new abilities. That way, you add some more flavor to your game. If you already own Dog Park, you add some more to it. Expansions, that's what they do. They I think for me at least, I call it they revamp your love for a game sometimes because you add something new and different to explore. I like that a lot. All right, this is Dog Park, New Tricks, and Dog Park Dog of the World coming out to you on April 22nd by Birdwood Games. Coming up next, we have G.I. Joe Mission Critical Cobra Ascendant expansion by Renegade Game Studios coming out on April 23rd. This game specifically, G.I. Joe, they did like G.I. Joe and Power Rangers are the 2 games that kind of use the same system. So if you like the Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid board game, I hope I'm saying that right. I haven't played it in a while. Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid. That specific game and G.I. Joe play extremely similar, if not identical, because they use a similar mechanic when you're battling and trying to clear the board. In a very pandemic fashion, you're going to have troops that are just swarming in on the board, and your whole goal is to control the waves or the hordes of enemies that are coming in. And you do so by having different characters, and in G.I. Joe, of course, you're going to have G.I. Joe specific characters, if you know the series, have it be the main G.I. Joe cast or other supporting characters. And they go in, they each have their asymmetrical, so they each have their own abilities, and you're trying your best to mitigate the amount of people or the amount of enemies who are just kind of flushing into a location. A location gets flooded or passed over a specific limit. They end up getting like a negative or a critical, or I don't know what they call it in this game, but I think it's called like a critical or a caution, and that ends up being a negative to you or to your game. And then if you get X amount of negatives, then you end up actually losing the game. I personally really like the Power Rangers game. I keep in mind it might be a little bit biased because I'm a fan of Power Rangers. I love Power Rangers. I grew up watching that stuff, and I love the comic books to this day, and I love the lore and everything about Power Rangers. So G.I. Joe plays very similarly to that. This specific expansion just adds in some more vehicles and some more cards to play. And it looks like they're taking the same route that Heroes of the Grid took, Power Rangers of the Grid took, where Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid has, I don't know, almost close to like 50, I want to say, that's just ballparking, maybe 40 expansions with a bunch of miniatures, a bunch of new characters, a bunch of abilities, some cool little scenario campaigns. That's kind of the direction I think they're taking this. So this is going to be not just the first time you're going to hear this expansion come out, but there's going to be many, many more expansions for this game. And like I said, it almost takes the pandemic system and evolves it, of course. You're just going in and controlling as much as you can and trying to clear the board. That's basically it. And it's very thematic. I love like having a miniature on the board and like it's 6 miniatures versus 1. And I'm explaining from the experience with Power Rangers, which uses the same system. I like it. I like it a lot. It's a very simple game. I bring in some of my friends who like are new to board gaming. They come in and they are usually like, it kind of just adds a more action theme to it, which makes them enjoy it more because maybe they're more like video gamers. This kind of just throws that in a bit. And also if you tie in a theme that they might enjoy, here might be G.I. Joe. It's another thing to consider. I talked a lot about this game already. This is G.I. Joe Mission Critical by Renegade Games coming out to you on April 23rd. 3rd. Moving on to Line It by QVO Games. It's going to be coming out on April 24th. Line It is a party game, and it kind of reminds me of Skip-Bo almost, the way it plays. In the same fashion, you're going to have a set of cards, and your whole thing is going to be lining up a line, have it be ascending or descending in front of you, and then you score depending on how much bets you put down. That's kind of the biggest gist of it, right? And this kind of shows you a picture of it, right? Each player has some cards in front of them. You're going to be lining them up and trying to make the biggest or the longest ascending or descending and trying to score it depending on what cards you have in front of you and what bets you are placing with your cards. That's the biggest gist of it. It's a party game. I think if you like games like Skip-Bo, this is like a level up to that, in my opinion. So those style of like card games, this is going to be Line It. I'm not going to go too deep into it. This is kind of the biggest gist of it. This is coming out on April 24th by QVO Games. Moving on to Way Too Many Cats, coming out by Weird Giraffe Games, coming out on April 24th. Way Too Many Cats was on crowdfunding. Now it's coming to you to retail. In this specific game, you are running a cat shelter, and you're going to be going to the cat valleys and drafting cats. And as you do so, I'm going to skip over to a different tab to show you some pictures as I talk about this. You see, you're going to have your shelter, and you're going to be drafting the cats in. And of course, the placement of your cats as you draft them, it's going to depend on, well, it's going to have conditions. Each cat has conditions and specific scoring ways they score depending on where you put them and how they're placed and how they're being fed, what you're giving them, all that little cute stuff. I like games like this. It's kind of like you're taking a spatial drafting, like a spatial puzzle drafting game, and I like the fact you tie in a theme that's just very heartwarming, right? Bringing in cats, helping them out, helping all the strays out, all the animals. It really hits me like in the heart when they tie in a really good thing to this. In its core, it's a drafting spatial puzzle press your luck style game. The game has received a lot of great reviews, apparently, that come from like what they have on their website. Of course, they have a great how to play video here, and it's a really straightforward and simple family game, in my opinion. Here's going to be a couple more stuff, right? A couple more pictures showing you the art and such. It's a very cutesy game. I think it's a very cutesy game. And also the theme, Way Too Many Cats. Cats is just when it comes to like animals, like cats and dogs, it's a very friendly and warming theme to new gamers, just to different gamers. They can relate a little more on the level instead of bringing them into like, I don't know. For example, I have like dungeon crawling games like are all about like for Oathsworn example, right? It's a dungeon crawling game I have. Bringing in a new gamer into something like that, it's just typically not as relatable. So that's my opinion about this. This is going to be, like I said, it's going to be a game with a lot of great reviews, a lot of great coverage already. Check it out, and they have some great art as well. I like the cute cat art. Drafting spatial puzzle games. If you have enough of those already, maybe try one more and try Way Too Many Cats. This is Way Too Many Cats by Weird Giraffe Games, coming out to you on April 24th. Awesome. We made it to the end of the video. I talked extremely fast in an effort to make sure that we give you your coverage in a very concise amount of time and we don't kind of extend it to like 15, 20 minutes. However, there have been times where I have like 8 or 9 games to cover, and then I just have to like, the video is going to be long. It's just how it's going to be. I also try to make sure that I don't talk too fast for you guys so you guys can understand everything I'm saying, but I'm just trying to make sure these videos aren't 15, 20 minutes long is my biggest thing. And I also tend to ramble a lot because I want to talk about certain things with you guys and tell you about something. So thank you for making it to the video. I appreciate it. That helps the channel a lot. If you made it this far into the video, let me know in the comments below what game you are picking up this week. Is it maybe one that I mentioned in this video, or is it maybe one that you have been saving up money for the past few weeks and you're finally ready to pick it up? I want to know. Let me know in the comment section below. Let's talk some games. And thank you for watching the video. I appreciate it, and have a good one.